complete military modernization by interview. A Chinese whistleblower tells the story of how he helped Chinese officials sourcing massive amounts of medical supplies from around the globe, and how he realized he himself became part of the regime's bigger scheme to create a worldwide mask shortage for its own benefit. Today, we bring you part one of the story about how Jiang Pengyong discovered that some of the supplies were not sent to frontline medical workers, but hoarded by officials.
U.S. intelligence officials have accused China of hiding the CCP virus severity in order to hoard medical supplies. But did China intentionally hoard the supplies, or is the situation just a coincidence, since China's outbreak struck earlier than other countries? And the more important question is, did the masks China imported actually go into the hands of frontline medical workers and residents who most needed them? For Jiang Pengyong, a whistleblower who helped Chinese officials frantically purchase the world's masks in the first 2 months of the virus outbreak, the answer is clear.
I thought I was helping save the Chinese people. I never thought I would become an accomplice who helped the virus spread globally. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. So this incident has deeply hurt me and my value system. The medical supplies that I put so much effort into purchasing were sold by the Chinese authorities at a sky-high price for profit.
9 years ago, Jiang Pengyong made headlines in China for exposing the country's corrupt Red Cross society, but as a result, he lost his career. Now, 9 years later, Jiang is again facing persecution from Chinese authorities for knowing too much about their secret operations, this time about how local governments in China profit from much-needed medical supplies meant for donation. The story began in early January this year. That's when Huang Zhongnan, an executive from a company in Hangzhou City, Zhejiang Province, reached out to Jiang. Huang said he was helping several government agencies and charities in southern China gather medical supplies in order to donate them to Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus outbreak. Huang asked Jiang, who lives in South Korea, to help purchase massive quantities of masks and send them to China. Huang even provided so-called red-headed documents, which are stamps. Believing that he was helping the Chinese people, Jiang spared no effort and used his global business connections to find masks. In one case,
in India, we bought 20,000 Honeywell masks, 100,000 3M 9004 masks, 200,000 3M ING masks.
And from Korean manufacturers, he ordered over 3 million KF94 masks, a Korean-produced equivalent to N95 masks. But Jiang started to notice something was off. On January 31st, he was supposed to send 100,000 N95 masks to China through a free chartered plane. The plane was arranged by Korean and Chinese authorities and would fly from Seoul to China's Changsha City, a transfer center for supplies headed for Wuhan.
When we are about to load the supplies on the airplane, he all of a sudden told me that we were not going to use this charter plane. And why was that? He said the charter plane was meant for transporting donations only. He said they would pay to transport the supplies to Hangzhou.
Hangzhou is located in China's southern province of Zhejiang. At the time, the city has some virus cases, but the outbreak wasn't as severe. Hangzhou hospitals were still sending doctors to support Wuhan. It was around the same time Wuhan hospitals were posting SOS donation requests on social media. One doctor even pleaded on Weibo, writing, "We're not short of supplies, we simply don't have any." So why would Chinese authorities want the supplies sent to Hangzhou instead of Wuhan? Jiang explained that would be odd unless the supplies weren't actually meant for donation. The same reason they avoided the free chartered plane.
It would be really hard for them to get back or steal back the supplies once they were donated to Wuhan.
Jiang later realized after speaking with friends and acquaintances that he wasn't the only one who met with the odd situation. Many overseas Chinese people told him that their donations didn't actually reach the most infected areas as officials claimed they would.
As far as I know, people in Australia, Japan, the US, and Canada have been deceived. Some are international companies or producers like 3M, while some are patriotic Chinese international students or Chinese immigrants, even some governments who cared about the virus in China, and even charities. I believe I am not the only one who was deceived by Chinese authorities. There are other people whose medical supplies were taken this way. They were provided with official red-headed documents. But those who eventually received the supplies are not those who issued the documents.
最终的这个货物接收方并不是这个出具文件的这个政府部门。
That's when Jiang realized that the local agencies advantage of their power to use red-headed documents, as well as the kindness of Chinese immigrants, overseas governments, and charities. They bought the supplies at an extremely low cost and even for free, and instead of donating them,
这个事情就是从头到尾都是一个
So they're just operating under false pretenses. In the name of gathering donations, they hoarded medical supplies and then sold them at a much higher price in order to profit.
实的一个东西。
that's around the same time Wuhan's Red Cross came under fire in China for failing to distribute donations, and even refusing to offer the supplies when hospitals turned to the Red Cross warehouse for help. After reading online news articles, Jiang later discovered that the N95 masks he sold to local agencies for over 6 yuan each were resold to Chinese people for as much as 100 yuan each or more. When Huang realized Jiang had pieced together the secret, he threatened to make Jiang's entire family disappear if he dared to reveal the truth. Huang also stated that the Zhejiang provincial authorities and the Chinese Red Cross would back him up. But what Jiang didn't realize was that the Chinese agencies didn't just aim to sell the masks to Chinese people for profit, but to the entire world. Stay tuned for part 2 of this special